Good morning, good morning. It's Tess here. How are you? So we're just going to open up now part one of nutrition. And before we get started on our fabulous oil camp two, I just want to go over a few things, especially as we're going to be speaking about wellness and lifestyle and health and all sorts of other great things, not just about supplements, but also about how we view ourselves and how we view our body and our body image. And I just want to start off right at the offset, like right at the beginning now, to say, you know, nutrition, nutrition's not about, bland or expensive or, food that we use to punish ourselves. Because, it's what we should, like what we should be eating. So things like guilt and shame and self-loathing are not welcome here. So what I'd like to do is open the floor to like a discussion where those things like guilt and shame and self-loathing, about what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing on a day-to-day basis, including on how we think about ourselves, that's not what this oil camp 2 is about. So we're just going to toss all of that stuff into the garbage. And because, really that's where it actually belongs. So what I would like you to do, I want to welcome you, and I would like you to welcome yourself into this space that we've created for you with love and acceptance and understanding. And this conversation can only be effective when we bring about, the positive changes that we're looking for in our health and wellness lifestyle with, the right companions as well. And I'm hoping that that's what we will be to each other, because we're going to be going, all the coaches that you're going to meet here on this oil camp are going to be doing the same things. We're going to be commenting, but we're actually going to be doing this camp with you guys so that you guys don't feel like you're just doing this on your own. So when we are looking at, how we're going to be speaking to ourselves, this is what I'd like to just start off this nutritional one video. It's about eating like you love yourself, moving like you love yourself, speak like you love yourself, and act like you love yourself. And sometimes these concepts, like, we know them, but are we really actually conscious of what are we actually doing and what are we actually eating? Do we move like we're in love with ourselves, in love with our bodies? Do we speak about ourselves in positive, reinforcing ways? And do we act like we actually love ourselves? So, why is nutrition so important? So what I'd get you to do is, this document is in post 4 of today's postings. So it will come up for you. So then you can go back and have a look at this video and fill this in. So just fill in this section here and just note down in the space provided once you've printed off the document. It's about 16 pages, but we are going to be using this workbook throughout the whole of camp. And it'll be something for you to go back to as well. So how we start off camp and how we're going to be talking about, health and lifestyle and nutrition and things like that. By the end of camp, you will probably look back at some of these priorities and some of the answers that you've written, and you'll be really amazed at, how much more inspired or more, more rewards that you want to now deliver to yourself in terms of your self-care. So this is the focus on priorities in terms of essential oils. And what a great quote, huh? I believe that the greatest gift you can give your family and the world is a healthy you. Isn't that just amazing? So, why do we care about nutrition? So, what makes it so important that it's at the base of our wellness pyramid? So here you can fill in this section here. What's your motivation behind wanting to be healthy? And here is the doTERRA wellness lifestyle pyramid. And this is what it looks like. And most of you have possibly seen this before. So our nutrition, it's not only the food we eat, but also the food we don't eat. It's our water intake and the supplements that we take. And it's the biggest piece of our healthy lifestyle. So eating right is, I mean, like, let's face it, how many times a day we're eating? Like, we're eating multiple times a day, right? And, that's pretty consistent. We're going to eat today. Today is a definite, you are going to eat. But if we can improve a small part of our health, like just one single behavior, then we're going to improve so many aspects of our health. There's a great quote here. Anne Wigmore said, "The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison." And I love that. That's like so true. So eating right is the fuel that, and that's pretty much it. It's our society. Sometimes we are led to believe that's a little bit different. So we can use food, to celebrate, to connect, to make ourselves feel better after a stressful day. That's me. And, we can use food. So, if we're feeling lonely, it becomes our companion. But really, for the purpose of this oil count, we're going to talk about food as fuel. So fuel for your body. And our body needs, it needs fuel, it needs proteins, it needs just simple carbohydrates, it needs good fats in order to function and thrive. And it's the kind of fuel that we give to our body. That type of fuel is completely in your control. So food is completely in your control. So when you're moving through this process and you're trying, you're helping yourself discover and understand, just know that the food that you consume is totally, you're in charge. Like, you're in charge of this entire process of what you're essentially putting into your bodies. So we're going to do something totally radical and crazy. We're going to put good, nutritious and wholesome fuel in our bodies. And let's give ourselves the best that we possibly can and see how it changes our health. So, there are hundreds of different ways to eat well. So we're going to help you find your own plan or your own ideology that best fits your body and your lifestyle, and we're going to go with it. So there are some basics that most of us can probably agree on. So we need to consume, most humans need to consume lean protein, smart carbohydrates, good fats, and lots of fresh produce in our diet. So we can possibly also agree that we can need a lot less of, the processed, the prepackaged foods, certain complex carbohydrates, and of course, the dreaded refined sugar. So let's focus on crowding out the bad with good and eating less of the fast, the cheap, and the sort of fake or false options that is sometimes called food, but it's actually not food. And let's go back to, how we are designed to thrive with food as a fuel. So if we go back to our great-great-great-great-great-grandparents' time, we were eating off the land. If they could get their hands on protein or lean meat or any form of meat, they would. So we understand that we need those lean proteins, but we also would have been eating pretty much, if it grew in the ground, on a tree, on a bush, if it was, a domestic, an animal that we had, a cow or sheep, we would have been able to have access, and we would have been eating as simply as that. Yes, we would have had bread. There would have been forms of sweetness, sweeteners like honey and types of sugar, but not like what we see today at the supermarkets. What we see today at the supermarket is, sometimes rows upon rows of freezer sections and rows upon rows of packaged goods. That's not how our ancestors ate. And that's what we're trying to do here, is to get you back into, eating those healthy, wholesome foods. So in this exercise, we're just simply asking for awareness, not judgment, no criticism. We can't take a step forward if we don't know where we're starting from. So take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. Isn't that awesome? So what we're going to do is I'm going to invite you to do a nutrition inventory. It's So this is awesome. So this is going to be based over the last 30 days. So when you print off your workbook, you will see this inventory here. So what we're going to do is, let me backtrack a little bit. So Tiffany Peterson, which some of you may have heard of, is a sales and success coach. And this training tool that we have right here is similar to, you know, something, the type of work that she uses to help people move forward with themselves and their view of themselves. So I think you're going to really love this tool. So we want you to get the most of your experience here with us, and we're going to get you to focus now on this nutrition. So what I'd like you to do is just answer these questions and just give yourself a rating over the last 30 days between a 1 and a 10, 10 being the highest. This is not meant to be a negative experience. There's no self-loathing here. Remember, we chucked that out a few minutes ago when we were talking. It's more about just asking you to observe how you're feeling about things right now. And let's just take a quick look at the last 30 days and use it as our time frame for this exercise. So question 1, how do you feel about your overall nutrition? Are you eating well the majority of the time, or are unhealthy options making up the bulk of your diet? So question number 2, how has your overall water intake been? And this is, you know, water intake, hydration. And are you getting at least what, so the people we have on the camp, most of the time we have more of a proportion of women than men that are on our oil camps at this point in time. So, you know, we're going to be looking at, and it's going to sound like a lot, but we really ought to be aiming around about the 2-litre mark. Now, that can be a little bit different for some people. It could be more when it's really hot here in Oz, and Oz gets really hot. It could be more if you're at the gym or, you know, doing some form of exercise. So listen to your body. But as a general rule, just over 1.8 litres to 2 litres is pretty healthy. Question 3, how do you find, do you find that you want to eat the healthy food? And, you know, I found over the years that I actually do want to eat healthy food, that I actually really enjoy and get quite, you know, and it's so fast and easy to prepare because most of the time it's partially raw. So that's always like a bonus for me because I can put together a salad really, really fast. And that doesn't mean I'm vegan. It doesn't mean I'm not having any protein with it, or it doesn't even mean I'm not having any dairy with it. It's just that I actually feel like my body actually loves salads. So, you know, and how do you feel about eating these healthy foods? You know, I mean, for some of us, you could be repulsed by a bowl of salad or a bowl of veggies. You know, it could be so outside of how you think and feel about yourself that it might actually be almost like repulsive. I know when I was attempting to get off my carbohydrates many, many, many years ago, I almost was thinking, what on earth am I going to eat? Like, you know, my diet was bread, pasta, and rice. I mean, what else was there to eat if I couldn't eat bread, pasta, or rice in a meal? Like, it was like a real mindset. My whole brain was like, there's nothing else. It's only bread, pasta, and rice. And so how do you feel about your fresh produce consumption? So pop in there, you know, a 1 to 10, you know, so if vegetables like a one-hit wonder, or are they top of the pops for you? You know, there's every meal can contain plant matter. So remember, progress, it's about progress, not perfection. Or what would it take to move the needle just a little bit in the right direction? So if you put a 5 down, what would it take to make it a 6? Right, one action step in each of the quadrants above that will help you just move that from, say, if it's a 4 to a 5, or a 2 to a 3, or a 6 to a 7. What would it take? One action step in each of the quadrants above. That's a great quote as well. Life expectancy would grow by leaps and bounds if green vegetables smelled as good as bacon. My son is a bacon fiend. He loves bacon. So, you know, don't feel overwhelmed by what it is that we're talking about here. I just want you to start to feel like you can move into these areas, and we're going to help you, you know, do the best you can. And you never know. It's about this progress, not this perfection. So if if we can help you make these little adjustments, I think you're going to really feel like you're taking those steps. And it's really important to remember that whilst you're doing this work, that it's love and understanding. These are your companions on this oil camp journey. You know, not judgment, not criticism, not self-hatred, not self-loathing. So you'll notice that in the workbook, we've given you lots of space to write down each of your thoughts, and, you know, choose a number that feels right for now. So, you know, try not to think, oh, well, maybe I ought to be a 6 in this area. You know, actually just be really at ease and just say that, you know, actually, truthfully, when it comes to green veggies, I'm a 4. So good, just write down a 4. And then take some of that space up on that page, on page 3 there, to actually just write down just a little bit about, you know, some ideas that could even help you just move that needle just a little bit more. So I'm not asking you to make a commitment to doing all of these things, but what we're doing here is taking an inventory so that you're going to use these pages to note any ideas that come to mind. You can decide later on what you want to focus on. You'll also notice that in this workbook, you'll have several blank pages towards the end where you can write some more notes. So at the end of the workbook, so you can write more notes as you're progressing through the camp. And I hope that you'll find this really useful. So one last thought from Tara Stiles: eat like you love yourself, move like you love yourself, speak like you love yourself, and act like you love yourself. I mean, that's so beautiful. That was right at the very beginning on the first slide. So let's keep working through this content, gain a new perspective, and learn new tips to help us get there. Okay, guys, I will see you soon in camp. Bye for now.